Hello guys, Weather Geek 525 here. I know it's been a while since I posted a long form video. Um, I just wanted to say I'm sorry it's taking so long and some background of what I did. I did a Q&A video with Eric Hurst of Aurora Fire Rescue down in Colorado. Um, we had a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. Um, so we're gonna start this out by um, just going over some ways that people can get in contact with you if they want to see your videos. So
Okay.
how can people get in contact with you once they see your videos? I know you.
Probably
I
one
know.
of the best ways that they can contact me if they've seen videos on the Aurora Fire Rescue YouTube channel is to go through the official email address, afdpio@auroragov.org. And then I have my own YouTube channel. So if people have questions about that or want to contact me about that channel, then my personal email, which is eric@firepio.com would work best. And then people can always find my personal Instagram. It's at Working Fire PIO, and you can always send me a direct message on there as well.
Okay. I know you have two separate email addresses for Aurora, so it's kind of like.
Yeah, there's the PIO group email address, and then I have my own individual one. The PIO group email address goes to a few of us, so that we can answer questions about the fire department in case that comes up, and some of us are not working or off duty. And that's the big thing for PIOs is if it's work related, then it's public record. So having emails go to those addresses are important. Whereas if it's questions about my personal work, then that can be on my personal email account.
Yeah. What's one of the craziest calls you've been on
One of the craziest calls that I've been on.
with South Metro? Because I know you used to work at South Metro and with Aurora, so combined two.
Yeah, I think the one that comes to mind that's one of the craziest was at South Metro, and it was back in 2017. There was a mixed fuel and oil tanker that was driving northbound on Interstate 25
Oh,
uh, through Greenwood Village, and it hit a pothole, and the truck went out of control, and the driver did a great job rather than steering into cars on the highway. The driver steered into the concrete barrier, but in doing so, to protect the other motorists, he tore open the saddle tank for his diesel fuel on that truck and it
oh,
ignited. The driver was able to escape safely, just had really minor injuries. He spared all the other drivers from getting hurt. And then there was a huge fire with some explosions. It closed the interstate. That was pretty much when I had first started as a PIO full time, and it was only a couple miles from headquarters. So I was there with the first arriving units just a couple minutes after they got there, and then I was on scene for like the next eight hours, and that
oh.
one was pretty wild.
Okay. What in the heck is so? You're you um have worked in two different fire departments. I know you grew up in. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
No, you're doing great.
Um, I know you've worked in two different fire departments. I know you worked as a dispatcher from your other video, where the Q&A video, where it literally, what's the word? You got so many comments, and it was like the one where you had the dog stuck in the tree.
Oh yeah. Yep, I remember that. That was a long time ago. That was a pretty funny call too. Um, I wondered if it was a prank call, but the person who called 911 was pretty serious about the whole thing. And yeah, if people haven't seen that Q&A, the story was it was near the town of Leviers, which is a really small town in Douglas County, and it was in the middle of the night, like maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And a dog had chased after a raccoon or some other animal, and It wound up the trunk of a tree and up into a tree branch, and the dog was stuck up there, and it was too high for the owners to get it down without a ladder. They were kind of in the middle of nowhere and didn't have immediate access to a ladder, so they called the fire department, and we dispatched Engine 40 to go out there and rescue the out of the tree. There was at the time, a brand new lieutenant on Engine 40, and he thought we were joking with him. He thought maybe Station 39 was pranking him and had us wake him up in the middle of the night for that call. And when they got there, they saw that it was real, and the firefighters carried the ladder out to the tree, and then they helped hold the ladder and let the dog's owner go up and get the dog because they were so worried about getting nipped or bitten by the dog because it was so afraid. So the owner went up and got it, carried it back down the ladder, and that was that. The dog was safe and rescued. But yeah, a lot of people always joke about firefighters rescuing cats from trees, and that's the first and only time I've heard of a dog in a tree.
Yeah. Um, the next question I have for you, what is the weirdest call you've been on as a PIO?
The weirdest call that I've been on as a PIO, I might have to think about that one a little bit here. Most of the calls that PIOs respond to are pretty serious and like newsworthy events, and sometimes really bad things happen for
Yeah,
those. Um,
yeah, I definitely understand. Are you still there?
Example would be a call that came career when it was dispatched, and thankfully it wasn't. We were dispatched to a mid-air collision between two airplanes north of Centennial Airport, and there are dual runways, parallel runways that are pretty close to each other. And two planes were coming in for a landing. One of them was a pretty big Metroliner, and the other was a smaller Cirrus. And the little Cirrus had a training pilot and then his instructor. And when they made a turn to try and line up for the runways, they misaligned and they actually hit the Metroliner plane and took off the top of it. So they, with their smaller plane, put a giant hole on the top of the Metroliner. The Metroliner didn't even know it got hit by an airplane until it landed, and the air traffic controllers saw the damage to the aircraft. So the Metroliner, after being hit, flew basically with a convertible roof for a couple miles until it landed at the airport. That pilot was okay. And then the Cirrus, it had some major damage after it hit that plane. But luckily for those two people who were on board, that airplane is one of the few that's equipped with a parachute.
Oh, I remember you made a vlog on that specific
So they
incident.
pulled the parachute, which so it I did. So the rate of descent was slowed, and when the plane hit the ground, it wasn't going quite as fast. The impact was enough that it broke the plane in half, but the two people who were on board walked away and they weren't injured. So when I talked to the NTSB, they said that was one of the very few mid-air collisions that they had heard of in the United States that was non-injury. And likely, had they not been in a plane that had a parachute, they probably would have been hurt really bad, or maybe worse, maybe even killed on impact. So I think that was probably the craziest one that I've been to.
Okay. So what's the difference between working here at Aurora and what's the difference between working at South Metro? What have you noticed?
Both of those jobs are pretty similar to working in fire public information. I think the big key difference is that South Metro jurisdictionally is really confusing. It's a fire protection district, which is managed by an elected board of directors, and South Metro covers 289 square miles of three different counties and 10 cities. So from a jurisdiction perspective, it's really complicated, whereas the city of and even though the city of Aurora lies within a couple counties, the jurisdictional governance of it is a lot more simple at a city level. As far as the two fire departments go, they have really similar call volume overall, right around the 55,000 call a year mark. But South Metro is doing that with 30 fire stations versus Aurora doing it with 17. And that's really because some of the population density in Aurora is so much greater than South Metro. So there's a few fire stations at Aurora that are really busy with fire engines running over 4,000 or 5,000 calls a year individually, where at South Metro, the busiest units are right around 3,000 calls a year. So it's definitely more of an urban fire department that has some different challenges than South Metro, which is more of a suburban fire district. South Metro definitely has more hazards when it comes to like managing the airport and some of the wildland interface areas, the lakes at state parks that have a lot of water rescues. And then Aurora is dealing with more of the population density and more serious apartment fires that more frequently occur in the north part of the city because of older construction, buildings that don't have sprinkler systems or alarm systems and things like that. So those are kind of the key differences.
Um, I noticed when you're when you guys took me in for a station tour, I noticed your tones are different. Why do they change tones at different fire departments, and which tones do you like better?
Great question. So, a lot of fire station alerting is based on the cost and what fire departments can afford. Fire station alerting can be really expensive. So, what you saw at South Metro is one of the most popular and also one of the most expensive. It's the first in system by WestNet, and it has a smart station design where it's very technical, and each of the bedrooms can receive different tones for different apparatus so that they don't have to wake up if it's not a call that that fire department or firefighter has to respond to. They can pick the volume in their bedroom, the amount of light in their bedroom. Some of the walkways have night lights that turn red and will scroll towards the apparatus bay. They even have muting devices in the gym and in the day room so that if there's loud music or a loud TV, it'll be muted by the system so that you can hear the tones. There's
So there's a lot to
light
it.
panels that show up different colors for each one of the units. There's a lot to that WestNet first in system for sure. Aurora has an older system that's called Zetron, and it is actually my favorite. I love the sounds. The Zetron system is assigned a different alert tone within the fire station for each truck or engine or chief. And then there are tone selectors in the bedrooms. So if you're on the engine, you can just listen to the engine calls at night. You don't have to wake up for the ladder truck. But it's not nearly as technical as some of the other systems out there. Both of them definitely get the job done. And there's pros and cons to both. Some of the newer systems say that they're a little easier on your heart. So if you're sound asleep and the tone goes off, it's got this slow ramp up. Hopefully to not startle firefighters when they wake up. Whereas the Zetron tones do have a little bit of a ramp up, but some of them are pretty dramatic. One of them I grew up with when I was an explorer at Castle Rock Fire Department as a teenager, and it still startles me to this day. So I've never been much of a sleeper at the firehouse, but it doesn't matter if it's a WestNet tone, a Zetron tone, a Minuter pager like I had when I was a volunteer. They all scare the dickens out of me at night, and I always have a pounding heart when I get out of bed. So for me, I don't think it makes a difference with all that money personally. It's really just all about the bells and whistles, but the sounds, the station tones that are at Aurora, I absolutely love those. The Zetron tones are really cool.
I love them too. Um, maybe, maybe, maybe you could like send me an audio file so I can actually show them what the tones actually sound like for the engine, if that's even possible.
Sure. Yep, it is. I do have digital versions of those that I can send you.
Thank you. I just thought it would be cool to show them in a separate video what those actually sound like, so that they can get a good idea.
Yeah, I like that. And on my personal YouTube channel, there's a short that shows the Albuquerque fire station tones too, if people want to hear those. Those are also Zetron tones, just organized a little differently for the different apparatus. But there's an example on there too with a cool lighting effect when they get tones in their station.
When's your next video on your mm, other YouTube channel? I noticed you've stopped. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, great question. So the challenge for me has been traveling to some of the places where I've been invited to, and making the time for that. I think the next one is going to be really fun. It's going to be with one of my best friends who I grew up in the fire service with, and he is a chief officer in southwestern Colorado with Cortez Fire Department. They are a combination paid volunteer department, and surprisingly busy, running about 3,000 calls a year out of their single firehouse with one engine and one two-person rescue unit that cross-staff some other apparatus. So my hope is to go down there and spend some time with him and show viewers a different kind of video than what they've seen before. I've primarily just been shown some really unique places like Colorado Department of Transportation, and then of course the busier big city fire departments, but haven't really showcased more of a rural environment. So I'm excited to do that one, and I think that one will be next here in a couple months.
okay. Um, what is the what is the weirdest call you've been on it at Aurora?
Hmm. The weirdest call I've been on at Aurora. Let me try and think here. I think I've been lucky so far that in the like 6 or 7 months I've been there, it's pretty much just been standard calls. There really hasn't been anything too out of the ordinary um, when it comes to like the fire or rescue EMS responses. I will say I think probably what stands out is one of the wildest vehicle versus structure accidents that I've been to. And I've been to a lot of those calls, especially at South Metro. For some reason, we would get a lot of them there. But it was a really high speed accident on a curve and a damage to the house. But it ripped a Ford pickup truck in half on the driveway. You can
Holy.
see you can see that on the Aurora Fire YouTube channel. It was a ride along I did with Engine 7 and Ladder 8, and we were first due to that call. And looking at it out the window in the engine as we pulled up, it was really difficult to even tell what happened. There was just a mangled mess of vehicle in the driveway, and nobody was injured, which was great. Unfortunately, the home sustained a lot of damage, and I've driven past there a few times since it happened, and the house has had to have a lot of significant work to make it safe again. So really unfortunate for the homeowner there, and the property damage to his house and vehicles. But really just a crazy scene that shows the dangers of intoxicated driving, distracted driving, that corner or that little rounded corner curve where he lives. The neighbors said that accidents happen there a lot where people run into trees or parked cars, and this one just happened to be the worst. And the person was probably going maybe 2 or 3 times the legal speed limit when that accident happened. So yeah, that's probably the craziest one that I've seen so far, and really thankful that nobody was injured in a crash that looked as bad as that did.
Um, what um can can you start doing what you did at South Metro, like vlogging structure fires, like not like doing the aftermath and getting the radio traffic like you did with South Metro and talking about those incidents? That would be a cool set of videos.
Yeah, I appreciate the suggestion, and it's definitely a direction that we would like to go. We also have a new PIO who started at Aurora within the last few weeks. Her name is Samantha, and we're talking about doing PIO vlogs. One of the challenges currently at Aurora with after action videos is that helmet cams aren't allowed by policy just yet, and the battalion chief vehicles don't have dash cameras at least yet.
Okay, so
So our available content to show what happens isn't quite as easy as it is if those cameras are in place. But hopefully we can work towards a direction where those cameras are allowed to be used by policy, and then we can show the community what the firefighters are experiencing when they get on scene.
my favorite thing about meeting you, Eric, has been just getting to get to know you and everything else. And I might I saw you put your phone number, your cell phone number into that to an email that you sent me after I sent you the Zoom link. So I might program that into my phone and text you a bit.
Yeah, well, it was a pleasure meeting you, and super cool that you took the time out of your family vacation to come and visit Aurora. So I appreciate that and all of the knowledge that you have about our local fire departments here. As a person, especially who lives out of state, I think that's really awesome. And thank you for following along and watching the videos and for inviting me to have this conversation.
I've got like two more questions.
Okay.
Um, what what was the absolute worst call you've been on?
You know, sometimes I think the absolute worst ones are easier to think of than like the good calls because we go on so many bad ones. That's really hard. It's hard to categorize. I've been to a lot of incidents where people have been hurt really bad. I've been to a lot of incidents where people have died, criminal fires where murder has happened, plane crashes where people have died, and it's really hard to name one particular thing that is the most awful. One that resonates with me a lot was an accident involving a water tender that was responding to a house fire. And that water tender had an accident and it rolled over, trapped both firefighters inside. I was there and witnessed them trapped and their extrication and then being airlifted. And I know that incident really took a toll on a lot of the emergency responders who were there. It was career ending for at least one of those firefighters, experienced really serious injuries. And, any injuries or loss of life, no matter what, are really tough for emergency responders, and it's nothing that any of us want to see. That one I think resonated with me because I was a firefighter at that district when I was a lot younger. So that vehicle, that tender 181, that was a vehicle that I had ridden in before, responded to fires before. So that one hit a little more home when I saw it laying on its side with the firefighters trapped inside, and especially until I knew who was inside and what their status was. That one was pretty rough. But there's a long list. I think most emergency responders, the longer they do it, you have those thoughts, and as you drive around the area, you see the incident scenes that have happened previously, and I think it's impossible not to think of those. I know there's times where myself and other people I know will specifically avoid driving specific roads or past certain buildings or houses because of the memories that come back. So that's kind of the ugly side of the fire department and emergency response is the emotional and mental health toll that it can take on people. So it's a long list, unfortunately, buddy. I've been full time with the fire department for over 20 years and then volunteered as a firefighter a few years before that. So in that, quarter of a century, I've seen a lot of stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel bad even asking.
No, it's okay. A lot of emergency responders and people who've been in the business prefer not to talk about it, but I'm pretty open about it. I've had to go get my own help with EMDR therapy and neurofeedback, and that's really helped me. And I know it's helped other people that have learned about it. So it's still an important thing to talk about.
I also had a question. I know this already, but um, for those who don't know, at Aurora, what's the difference between the engine and the ladder compared to South Metro?
Sure. South Metro, like a lot of suburban fire departments, has ladder trucks that are considered quints. And if you're not familiar, as a viewer who watches this about a quint is five different things. So a quint has to have water, a pump, hose, ground ladders, and an aerial ladder. And those five things make it into a quint. And the advantage of a quint is that it can do all of those tasks. It can be a fire engine, it can be a ladder truck, and the firefighters that are on there are able to do all those things at once. South Metro has six ladder companies. Some of them are called towers because they have a platform. Others are straight stick ladders, but they can function as an engine if they get there first. And because those six ladder trucks are not stationed with fire engines. They're just a ladder truck. Sometimes if they get to a fire, first on scene, they have to do the engine work first. So occasionally they'll have a medic unit with them. So they've got four firefighters on the ladder truck and two firefighters on the first medic unit. So a total of six people who can maybe start to deploy hose lines and do the work. Whereas at Aurora, it's a traditional, more city model where the ladder trucks are dry, meaning the ladder trucks don't have water. They don't have a pump, and the only hose that they carry is what a firefighter could keep on their shoulder to go into a high-rise building. They don't have attack lines. So at Aurora, when an engine and ladder truck arrive on scene, the four firefighters on the engine are assigned to fire attack, and then the four firefighters on the ladder truck are assigned to search and rescue, ventilation, and they are arriving in theory with eight people versus the six that South Metro and some other suburban fire departments encounter. And a lot of that comes down to just different philosophies on the best way to fight fire. And if you're a YouTube firefighting enthusiast, you'll see a million different ways on how fire departments choose to respond, their strategy and tactics, staffing, all that. So even though Aurora and South Metro share a border, they do things pretty different. And we both share a border with the city of Denver, and even Denver's a little bit different with their engine and truck model. So I would say the biggest thing is Aurora's model is more traditional, and then South Metro's is more suburban, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna have you repeat your email address one more time, and then I'll ask my next question.
Sure. So my personal one is Eric, ERIC, at firepio.com. Or if people have questions specifically about Aurora Fire Rescue and my job there, it's AFDPIO at auroragov.org.
I can only contact you a ton. Um, so the the um the dispatch center, I've never seen it inside of like a fire station. I've known that South Metro has theirs inside their headquarters, and I know my local department has theirs in a police station. So why did they decide to do, instead of fire headquarters, why did they decide to do it inside of Station 13?
Great question. So at Aurora, Aurora 911 is its own organization, separate from police and fire, but they provide service to police and fire. And when Station 13 was built in the Talons Reach section of the city, which is in southeast Aurora, it was a big civic project. And so there's Fire Station 13, there's Police District 3 station, there's Aurora 911, and there's a public library. All four of those things actually share the same building. They're just in different sections. So Station 13 has like the single story portion with all the garage doors if you look at it on Google Maps, and then there's a big fenced in parking lot for the police cars at District 3, and District 3 is on the first floor of the building, and then the second floor of the building is actually Aurora 911. So it's really neat. They've got big windows where they can see outside, and then lots of different breakups of how the consoles are laid out. If you check out the Aurora Fire Rescue YouTube channel, you can see a video that I did where I sat along with the fire dispatchers. So really, it was a cool way to get them a new facility and have all the space and all the things they needed in a shared building. And when you combine police, fire, 911, and a library all in one place, it's a great way for the city to make the most of the money that's available to us and kind of make it a one-stop shop for all the needs of the community right there.
Oh, and one more thing. Do you have any information for me on if I'm going to be able to do something with the dispatchers or not?
Still working on that. I think we'll be able to do something like a FaceTime for sure, but more to come. And I'll be in touch with you on that when I hear more.
Okay, I'm gonna call my dad. We're about done here.
Okay, great questions.
Thank you for your time.
Sure. Thanks for yours. Spending your Saturday hanging out with me.
I've always wanted to hang out with you.
You're too kind. Well, it's
Ever
been
since
fun.
I
And
found South Metro, it's like I want to meet Eric.
well, you're a fun guy to hang out with, both at the firehouse and digitally here on Zoom.
I will just, I will see if I can, I will text you and
Okay.
go get my phone number that way.
Okay, that works.
I notice you put your phone number in the last email you sent, so I'm gonna text you that way.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
Sure.
You can you
You
can
want
you can end it.
Okay, sounds good, Devin. Well, I hope you have a great day. Thanks for enjoying inviting me on here. It was fun. Really enjoyed it.
Maybe we'll do more like this.
All right, I'm in. Let me
If I
know.
get if I could get good views on this, we'll do more.
All right. Sounds like a plan. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll chat with you later, okay?
Yeah.
All right, bye-bye.
Dad, we're good.